The Desert Mirage Motel stood alone on a stretch of empty highway miles away from the nearest town. The neon sign flickered erratically, casting an eerie red glow on the cracked pavement. To passing drivers, it was just another forgotten roadside stop, but to those who had spent a night there, it was a place they would never forget. Jack was one of those unlucky travelers. He had been driving cross-country to start a new job in California when exhaustion forced him to pull over. The gas station attendant at the last stop had warned him about the motel, mumbling something about strange occurrences, but Jack had brushed it off. He just needed a few hours of sleep before hitting the road again. As he checked in, the old man behind the counter barely looked up, sliding him a tarnished key marked with the number 7. "No noise after midnight," the man muttered before disappearing into the back room. Jack shrugged it off and made his way to his room. The air inside was stale, carrying a faint scent of something rotten. The furniture was outdated and the wallpaper peeled in long strips, revealing dark stains underneath. Too tired to care, he locked the door, dropped his bag on the floor, and collapsed onto the bed. At exactly midnight, Jack woke up with a start. His breath hitched in his throat as he became aware of an unnatural silence. The buzzing neon sign outside had stopped flickering, leaving the room in near total darkness. Then, a sound, faint, almost imperceptible. A whispering voice just outside his door. Jack sat up, his heart pounding. He listened intently. The whispers grew louder, like multiple voices overlapping, speaking in a language he couldn't understand. The doorknob rattled. He jumped to his feet, grabbing his phone to turn on the flashlight. He took a hesitant step toward the door, pressing his ear against the wood. The whispers stopped instantly. A cold chill ran down his spine. He swallowed hard and turned the lock. As soon as he did, the door burst open with a violent force, slamming against the wall. A freezing gust of air rushed into the room, extinguishing the dim light from his phone screen. Jack stumbled backward, barely managing to keep his footing. The room was no longer empty. A figure stood in the doorway, tall and thin, its face obscured by shadows. Its limbs were too long, fingers twitching like broken marionette strings. The whispers returned, now inside the room, circling him. He couldn't tell where they were coming from. Paralyzed with fear, Jack tried to move, but his body refused to obey. The figure took a slow step forward. The air grew heavier, pressing down on his chest. His vision blurred, his thoughts clouded. Then, just as suddenly as it had started, everything stopped. The lights flickered back on, the whispers vanished, and the figure was gone. Jack gasped for air, collapsing onto the bed, his entire body drenched in sweat. He had to get out. Now he grabbed his bag and sprinted out the door, not daring to look back. The neon sign outside buzzed to life again, flickering its blood-red glow over the empty parking lot. Jack jumped into his car, hands trembling as he fumbled with the keys. The engine roared to life, and he peeled out onto the highway, heart hammering in his chest. As he drove away, he dared one last glance in the rearview mirror. The motel stood silent, lifeless. But in the window of room 7, a shadow moved. Jack drove for miles before stopping at another gas station, his nerves still raw. He splashed cold water on his face, trying to steady his breathing. The attendant, a grizzled man with deep lines on his face, gave him a knowing look. "You stayed at the Mirage, didn't you?" he asked. Jack hesitated before nodding. "What the hell is that place?" The attendant sighed. "Nobody really knows. It's been there forever. People check in, but not everyone checks out. Some say the ones who leave aren't really themselves anymore." Jack's stomach churned. He turned back toward his car, suddenly desperate to put even more distance between himself and that place. As he got in and turned the key, a cold shiver ran through him. In the rearview mirror, for just a split second, he swore he saw his own reflection. But the eyes looking back weren't his own.